Hello, guys. Today I'm here to talk to you about sex. Okay, this is one of the topics that I often find myself discussing with people, married people, and also those that are dating. Now, I am going to focus this video on those that are dating. Perhaps you're a young adult, or you're a widow, a divorcee, or you're re-entering the dating scene, and you may feel like you're used to a certain lifestyle already. Let's say you were married before. It's hard to just begin to see someone and not think about sex, or they think about sex. But must you really test drive the car before you purchase it? Let's talk about that. So, see, when it comes to sex, you might tell yourself, let me just try. Let me just see if there is some kind of chemistry, or what do we have going on here prior to getting married to the individual. Let me tell you that trying before getting married does not take away any sexual issues you may have in the future. There, I said it. It does not take away any sexual issues. A lot of the people that I've worked with over the years through counseling or through coaching struggled with their sexual life, even though they had amazing sex life in the beginning of their relationship. So what explains the difficulties that people have in their relationship? Many things. And a lot of times those things don't even start in the bedroom. It's things that happen in the kitchen. It's things that happen, on the way driving home. It's things that happen just talking about what are we going to eat today, having a financial discussion. It's those things that impact the bedroom. All right. The dishes that are in the sink, those things impact the bedroom. So must you really test drive before getting married? No, absolutely no. Now, I'm not here to preach about sin, because we don't preach sin, right? The focus is why and what the impact of that behavior can be, what the impact can be on your long-term relationship. Let me explain. Sex was meant by God to be between a wife and a husband. All right, we know that because in the book of Genesis chapter 1 verse 24, it talks about therefore a man shall leave his mother and father and cleave unto his wife, right? Cleave unto her, just saying that you leave and you go to your wife and your wife alone, and you become joined together in one flesh. And when you get to verse 25, it talks about, and they were naked, both the man and his wife, and they were not ashamed. When you have sex, you're putting out more than just your body. So in the physical, you're naked, but those insecurities that are inside of you, they tend to show out during sex. But in verse 25, when it says they were naked, both the men and the woman, and they were not ashamed, it speaks of transparency. That is not the focus of this video. The focus is what would happen if you were to get married and did not have sex. Nothing. The difficulty in a lot of these relationships is that you test drove too many cars. So now you don't like the car you're driving. So men are cheating, women are cheating, because you don't like the car that you were dealt, because you test drove and you're comparing. When two virgins get married, they already know what they put in, what they're dealing with. When two virgins come together, they know that, okay, we're having to learn, we have to be patient. You don't start off amazing. You learn to get there. So when you start off amazing, like when you're dating and you're stealing that thing that is not yours, now you're together, and what ends up happening? Now you're together, and then all of a sudden now you're having difficulty because maybe one partner wants something a certain way, they want something, they're not getting it. Now they've introduced other elements that is not feasible for your relationship. All right. So guys, I am here. This is a short video. I'm here to just ask you, must you test drive? No. Because what happens is, if you look in 1 Corinthians chapter, I believe 6:16, Paul describes the power in sex. And he says, anyone who joins with a harlot, right? Harlot, that person becomes one flesh with. Because the commandment was, leave your family, cleave unto your wife, and you become one flesh. So it was meant for married people, but if you find yourself dating and cleaving onto everybody, you're cleaving, guess what? You're leaving a piece of you everywhere you go. Sex is like super glue. Have you ever tried using super glue? Like you put your hands in it or you squeeze it and you want to tap on whatever you're trying to glue to see if it actually works. Have you ever tried that? If you take 2 loose leaf papers and you put them together with super glue, trying to see how much it will glue or how well it will glue, you cannot take it apart. You just can't. So every time you come together and you join together, it is connection, intimacy of the body and of the soul as well. So your emotions and your evolution, everything is connected. So when you try to pull apart, that's what I'm explaining to you, that 2 loose leaf paper with super glue, what's going to happen is the paper will be utterly destroyed. It will be destroyed because super glue is a permanent solution. It's not a temporary solution. So if you use sex as a permanent solution, as in, I'm trying to get this man to stay, I'm trying to get this woman, let me show what I can do so I can keep this woman. Sex is a temporary solution. Is it amazing in marriage? Is it great if you want it to be and you work on it? Yes. But if you use that temporarily when you're not really supposed to, guess what? You're leaving a piece of you everywhere you go. That is deep. I know some of you have heard of the term soul ties and all these, although those are not like biblical terms, but essentially that's what it's describing. What I just described is that you're connecting yourself with different people, thinking that those are just, we're getting to know each other, but that concept does not even exist. It doesn't work in marriage. Must you test drive? No. Even in cars, think about it. We did, and we pick our spouse like we pick cars on the lot. I went to get a car not long ago. This was just a car, like a spare car. We had cars. We didn't need that other car, but we needed it for something, just to have it, and So anyway, when we got the car, we went to an auction. We drove the car, we tested, we looked under the hood, we did all of that. The car actually drove an hour and got home. Once it got home, it stopped working entirely. Entirely. The engine was kaput. But it was good enough. It did what it was supposed to do during the auction. It did what it was supposed to do. That's kind of what sex does for you before marriage. It makes you look like, oh, this is good. Wow, look at the engine. It's all clean. And look at the bottom. And like, this is really good. And then you get yourself into it and you're like, now the person is addicted to something else. Whether pornography or whatever. But the person is mixed with, do you know the average times married people even have sex? So sex is so important. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's not. It really is. But it also isn't why we pick a spouse. Let me put it that way. So does you trying or test driving the car prior to marrying make a significant impact on your relationship? Absolutely not. It's like zero impact. Because the average times married people have sex, even in their relationship, according to several surveys that survey results that I read, was about 20%, right? 20% of people actually have sex about 2 to 3 times a month. 2 to 3 times a month. The vast majority in the 40s to 50s have sex like, it's not 2 to 3 times a month. Sometimes it's 3 months. Sometimes it's 6 months. And there was 17% of the people who had sex maybe once a year, the year prior. Those are scary numbers. And these are not like, older, because the older you get, your sexual frequency also changes. These are people in their 30s and 40s. Like, you're not old, because I'm not. You know, you're not old. You're not considered tired or weak or anything of that sort. So you might think to yourself that those are staggering. You know, that survey, the numbers are really staggering. It was only 5% of the people that actually had sex 3 to 4 times a week. 5% of the people. That's it, out of the 100%. So sex is as significant as your relationship is. So if you guys are communicative, open, and connected, and always talking, and sex is just kind of like a direct result. All right. So the issues that really impact sex are not issues that necessarily have to do with sexuality, if that makes sense. It's issues that you deal with, as I said, in the kitchen, finances, outside of the bedroom. So the concept of testing will not necessarily secure your relationship. Your security in your relationship does not come from testing it out. It comes from you guys practicing the fruit of the spirit, loving each other, being real to each other, transparent, love, intimacy, and transparency. I'll do a video on that. Those are my key tenets when it comes to marriage. All right. So this was a quickie, a quick video, you know, just to drop some nuggets on those that are struggling when it comes to dating, feeling like I have to do it so that I can maintain my relationship. Having sex does not guarantee anything for your marriage. If marriage is the goal, having sex does not guarantee anything. I hate to bust your bubble, but I'm going to come out and say it like that. Now, if you come up with a new statistic and you're like, no, couples who had sex prior to da-da-da, I want to hear it, but I beg to differ. This is, again, your Coach Yeboah. Hit that notification bell, subscribe to the channel, and share the channel with other people. I know it blesses you, and it's going to bless them as well. Until next